Yes, good evening to the aspirants of the JCJ 2022 for the main examination. And today there are the two hosts are there. Number one, my student S R-Venunath, and he is practicing as well as he worked in HRM for many years. How many years, Venunath?
I headed large companies for 24 years, was heading HR and legal.
Yes, you can approach him regarding the HR problem is there, PRO problem is there, and anything that he could make, ask him. And till the other people will join it, I mean, my second host will join it. Meanwhile, the S R Venunath will. Shall I show the chart? Shall I show the stop sexual harassment? Which one I should show?
You can show anything, no issues.
Okay, now let us see the sexual harassment. Now turn to the host, S R Venunath.
Yeah. Okay. Good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
I hope I'm audible to everyone.
Yes, it is audible.
Okay. How many of you all must have heard this name, sexual harassment at workplace? आप लोगों ने कभी सुना है इसके एक्ट के बारे में?
Yes, we heard.
Yeah, that's
Say loudly, participants.
Especially ladies. आप में से कितने लोग ये कानून के बारे में सुना है?
Me.
Oh, you are not giving the reply.
There's one lady.
There is no ladies. No, Gausia is there.
No, I don't know who this lady. Gausia is there. Lakshmi Durga is there. I believe Lakshmi Durga is a lady. I think so. I believe. I don't know. Unless it's some name. Okay. Let's not waste our time in understanding whether. Yeah. Okay. Now this sexual harassment at workplace. They started. This enactment came in the year 2013. Prior to that, there was no enactment, especially for this. Any offenses against women were either under section 506, 509, or some other sections of IPC. This enactment came into 2018, especially for working women and for non-working women. When I say working women and non-working women, they're two different things. Now, working women means people who are working in government organizations, in private sectors, or in any department. These people come under working organizations. And non-working organizations are those people who are working, these people are called unorganized sectors. Now, unorganized sectors are people who are working at home. जो अपने घरों में काम वाले आते हैं ना काम करने के लिए, किराना शॉप में काम करते लोग. These people, they come under unorganized sector. Okay. Now there's a difference between organized and unorganized sector. Okay. Now this, India being a signatory to the Convention of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, it is called as in 1979. Sir, can you enlarge this screen?
Yeah. You can say, you can instruct me, enlarge or scroll.
Yeah. So you can go a little bit at the top. Yeah. Now, India being a signatory to this convention, it was compulsory on part of India to make a law on women. Because since India didn't have any laws earlier prior to 2013, even after having independence of 60 years, we didn't have any laws on women's rights. So after that, this act came into this. But how this act came into picture that's also a big story in this. Now, I don't know how many of you all must have heard Vishaka case.
Yeah, many people heard it because they did the MCQ.
Okay. Do people know the story of this Vishaka guideline?
Yeah, they knew it.
Okay, if they know it, I will not get into picture.
Yes.
So, from this case onwards, this act came into picture. Had this Vishaka not come into picture, this act would not come into picture at all. Now you say blessing in disguise, fortunately, unfortunately, whatever happened to that lady, this act came to picture, and this saved most of the people, especially women, working in corporate, non-corporate, organized sector, non-organized sector. And globally, if you ask, 8th March is normally celebrated as Women's Day. Correct? And it's also called as happy. I mean, how many of you know why it is called Women's Day? Do you know why it is called Women's Day?
No,
Hello?
sir.
Okay.
Participant, if you don't know, say pass on.
No,
No,
it's
sir.
okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's no, there's nothing to think. In US, for the first time, most of the women were working in garment industries, textile industries, where their rights were violated. All these women started making hangama. They went on strike for equal rights, equal opportunities, equal pay. From that day onwards, this International Women's Day has been started observing. Why they have done this? Because for women empowerment. Women empowerment is just to say it's only a small terminology or a word. But if you elaborate that women empowerment, you can write hundreds of pages on that women empowerment. It's not only one single word, women empowerment. It's you can write hundred of this thing. Women empower includes discriminate on culture, political, social, economical, gender equality, all these things. Now, when did this act come into picture? The Rajya Sabha passed on 26 February 2013, and the Lok Sabha passed it on 1 minute. The Lok Sabha passed it on 11th March 2013, and it was notified on 9th December 2013. So the act came into effect from 9th December 2013. This act has total 8 chapters, 30 sections, and 14 rules. Act is a different and rules are different. Okay. Sir, can you scroll a little down?
Yeah.
Okay, now this is a short introduction of to whom this applies, this section apply. This is okay. Now, who is an aggrieved woman? Okay, so little top. The definition of an aggrieved woman. Okay. Now, what the act says is that any woman working in an organization, be it on contract, temporary, permanent, is said to be an woman in employment. No, that doesn't mean that she should be on payrolls. Okay. Hello.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We can hear.
That also includes any person who is working at home, dwelling places in relation to dwelling places at home. Dwelling का मतलब है घर काम करने वाला, घर काज का काम पूरा झाड़ू मारना, पोछा मारना. These people are called as dwelling people. Okay. One more, sir. Little up.
Yes.
Now the definition of domestic worker is very clear. Whoever works in household activities, these people are called domestic workers. Sir, upar. Employments, anyone working with any kind of workplace related to regular, temporary, ad hoc, on daily wages, these people are said to be employees. Employer means any person who heads the organization, who is HOD of the department, who is the owner of the who is owner of the company, who is the director of the company. He is said to be an employer, as per the definition of this is concerned. POSH Act. It is also called POSH Act in short form. People don't normally call it sexual harassment of women at workplace. They call it POSH, POSH, Prevention of Sexual Harassment. Now, this act is main. 1 minute, sir. Yeah. Okay. Top. Little bit.
Down or up?
Up. Okay. No. Stop. Stop. No, sir. One more. Down. Sir, up.
You give the term.
H. That's why if you give me the control, I'll say it because I have to keep on.
You want H?
H. Yeah.
Yeah, you say like that. Yes, internal committee.
Yeah. Now, what the Supreme Court has said in Vishaka guidelines is that every organization should have an internal committee. It is called an ICC, Internal Complaints Committee. Now, that committee should head by a lady senior woman of the organization. It should be only by a lady, not by a male. Remember, any person who is senior most in the organization, such lady will be heading that ICC. And local committees are those people who are out of the non-organized sector. Now I'll tell you what is which all definitions comes under ICC and what other things comes under LCC. Any organization which has more than 10, irrespective of ladies or not having ladies.
More
All
than 10 workers are employees.
10 employees. 10 employee means it covers everyone. The definition. Any
Not
10
casual labor.
Everyone, sir, everyone.
Okay.
Everyone. Whether temporary, casual, permanent, probationary, trainee, it doesn't define. The POSH Act says very clearly 10 employees. But this employee doesn't mean what is referred in the labor laws. That is different and this is different, for clarification.
Okay.
So any organization which has more than 10 should constitute an ICC. Whether you have 10 women or you have 10 male, it doesn't matter. हम सर हमारा कंपनी में तो लेडीज है ही नहीं है, फिर हम ये इंटरनल कमिटी क्या करेंगे? नहीं है तो भी भाई इंटरनल कमिटी फॉर्म करना पड़ेगा एज पर द लॉ. You cannot say no.
But a lady should be appointed over there at the time.
Yes. A lady should be appointed, but you'll say, सर हमारा कंपनी में तो नहीं है, लेकिन हमारा सिस्टर कंसर्न कंपनी में 2-3 लड़कियां हैं, तो yes, उधर से उनको अपॉइंट करो and you make them your committee members.
They can be deputed from there.
Yes. And
Okay.
if you don't have ICC committee, you are fined 50,000 rupees. And this law says any organization which doesn't have ICC, internal committee, local internal complaints committee, such organization license should be suspended. This
Not
is
cancelled.
This is the only one law in entire Indian laws which has the powers to cancel your license.
Okay.
Even the IT Act doesn't have, even the Companies Act doesn't have, but this is the only act which has that powers.
Yeah, go ahead.
And local committees are those where people who work less than 10, जैसे किराना के दुकान में, जनरल स्टोर्स की दुकान में, किसी के घर में मेड काम करते, गेट मेड, घर में मेड कितने लोग काम करते? 1-2 काम करते. 10 लोग से ज्यादा मेड काम नहीं करते. 1-2, unless it is like Anil Ambani or Mukesh Ambani, that's a different story. They come with a definition of ICC only. Okay, now what does the meaning of members means? Now members to this ICC, Internal Complaint Committee, means you should have 4 people in that committee. Out of that 4, 50% should be women members. 4 में से 2 women member होना चाहिए, और बाकी का 2 में से 1 मेल हो सकता है और दोनों भी मेल हो सकता है. और उन 2 में से, out of this 2, 1 person should be from an NGO. NGO का मतलब तो जानते हैं आप लोग. Now NGO, non-government organization. Now NGO means that person who is from an NGO should be working for women's social cause or for women empowerment only. He cannot be an NGO from an animal organization. He cannot be NGO from Tom, Dick and Harry organizations. He should be an NGO only from these 2, who is working for women empowerment or who is working for women's social cause.
That means it is connected to the woman.
Yes. Anything, but not from other organizations. I say you find many organizations which work for animals. You find many organizations which works for poor people. Those NGOs are not allowed. Clearly. And who is the presiding officer? The senior most employee of the organization, who is supposed to be a lady. She is supposed to be a presiding officer. You cannot appoint a male as a presiding officer under any circumstances. Now, respondent means, you know,
A woman would be a respondent.
No.
A lady would be a respondent.
No, I'll come to you. What you're saying is correct, but here is complainant is a woman and respondent is normally under this act is a male. Sexual harassment happens only from a male to a female. What the law says, but let me clarify one more thing. Sexual harassment doesn't only come from male. Sexual harassment come from even from a female also, or from a transgender. So this Sexual Harassment Act applies to women as well as transgenders. Now the transgender definition is wider. I'll come to that later on, why it is called transgender or not, why it is applied or not applied. I'll come to it later. Now, before knowing what is sexual harassment and what is harassment, there is a wide difference between harassment and sexual harassment. Can anyone tell me what is harassment and what is sexual harassment? If you know, it says. If it doesn't know, we will not waste time on that. Hello?
Respondents.
Okay. It's okay. Now, harassment is different and sexual harassment is different. Both are 2 different terminologies. Sexual harassment can be harassment, but harassment cannot be sexual harassment. And why I'm saying it cannot be, harassment is, example, if I'm the boss and if I have a female reporting to me, I will tell her, before you go home, you have to do all this work, hook or crook, I don't care. That is called harassment. भले आपका घर में क्या होगा क्या नहीं होगा मुझे मतलब है, मेरा काम से मतलब है, आप मेरा काम खत्म करके घर जाइए. That is called harassment. And sexual harassment has a different meaning altogether. Now, what it is defined under this act, sexual harassment means it includes physical contact and advances. You want me to go into details, or you want me to
No,
just...
no, not details.
Okay.
I already given the code. BBC, body to body contact.
Yes.
Next.
Any
Workplace,
sexual
go to the workplace.
Okay. Showing photographs or phonographs, verbal, non-verbal, everything comes under harassment. Workplace, as I told you, any department, organization, undertaking, established, all this comes under branches, units, owned, controlled. Okay. I think many of you know the meaning of owned and controlled. Okay.
Next.
Workplace also includes sports body, private institution, entertainment, any financial institute, any government organization, local authority, cooperative society, all this comes under the definition of workplace. Please refer to this workplace definition. It has wider meaning. It is not only related to one company.
Including the hospital or nursing homes.
Yes, everything comes under this. It has given a wider definition. Any sports institute, stadium, sport complex. But one thing is not involved in this. This doesn't come under workplace definition. That is religious place. Religious places like temples, mosques, churches, they don't come under the definition of workplace. Example, you go to Tirupati, you go to Aji Ali Dargah, you have people working for such religious institutions. Those people will cover under that act, but they will not be covered under this act. I'll come to that definition later on, why it is not covered. Now, how to prevent sexual harassment? Now, the prevent of sexual harassment, it is a duty of the employer. When I say the employer, means it is a duty of the management, whoever owns the organization, whoever heads the organization, whoever controls our company. So these people are supposed to prevent. How they can prevent these organizations? By not giving preferential treatment to employees. Now, these are some of the... Yeah?
Yeah, you can continue because the internal dialogue has emerged.
Okay. Now, prevention is, you find in most of the private organization, what people do for sake of promotion. I mean, I'm not saying most of the organizations do. There are some organizations which they do a lot of favors to female employees for some type of reasons. Okay, let's not get to that. So such kind of thing, it is a duty of the employer to prevent all such kind of activities when it comes to sexual harassment. And it's clearly defined here. What is that? So okay, go top. Can a woman employer be liable under the sexual harassment? I said yes. And woman employer can also be held liable under the POSH Act, which means if a female boss is there, and yeah, example, if a boss is a woman and the victim is also a woman, and if the boss is asked for sexual favor, then such woman who is aggrieved can file a case against the woman also. It doesn't mean this act is only for male. Male to hai, it's by default. But this act also applies to women also. Sexual harassment.
Woman to woman?
Yes, woman to woman.
Like lesbian?
Yes. What
Okay,
a wide... Now, this was clearly the Supreme Court has given some guidelines. What are the preventive steps to be taken in Vishaka case? So, employer or person in charge of workplace, whether in public or in private sectors, should take appropriate steps to prevent sexual harassment without prejudice to gender. Okay, that's they're given some rules. I mean, y'all can read that. Okay, sir. Scroll.
Okay. So these are all the points the Supreme Court has made it very much clear.
Yes. Supreme Court has given...
Now let us see the complaint mechanism.
Okay. Now complaint mechanism is that, I don't know how many of you all must have heard Priyamatu case. आप लोग कभी सुना क्या Priyamatu case?
No, because this is the first time I am hearing.
Priyamatu case is one of the famous case in 1996, which happened in Delhi. There was a serial also which has come in the Crime Patrol about this case, about this Priyamatu case. He is supposed to be a son of an IPS officer, a very highly high-ranked IPS officer. It was a one-sided love or whatever you said. For the first time in this case, they have introduced the word stalking in this case. Earlier, stalking was not an offense under IPC. But in this case, in Priyamatu case, the first time the word stalking has come into pictures. Even stalking is a sexual offense under this act. I mean, आप लोगों को पता है क्या stalking का मतलब क्या होता है? Do you people know?
They know it.
Okay, then it's okay. For the first time in this case, stalking has been used. This person was following this lady daily up and down from home to place of studying, everything. Then he raped her, he murdered her, all these things happened. So this is the first, in this case, stalking word has been used. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Now,
so another Delhi domestic working woman versus Union of India.
Yes. In this case, the Honorable Supreme Court went further. What Vishaka guidelines, what they gave was the guidelines. Now, in this case, the Supreme Court has given much more further guidelines. What all should be done? Example. So, go to point 1 of that one. Point 1. The complaint of sexual assault cases should be provided with a legal representative. They should be provided an advocate who should help her properly, which means that whenever there's a sexual assault on any woman, if such person goes to the police station or such person goes to any NGO, she should be provided with an advocate for a proper guidance. Say, legal assistance to be provided at the police station, since the victim of sexual assault may be in a distress state upon arrival at the police station. Guidance of a lawyer may be necessary. So these are the necessary guidelines what the Honorable Supreme Court has given in case of sexual assault. Sexual assault happens even in sexual harassment. Let me tell you, sexual assault, there's a definition for that in IPC. There's a separate section for that. But the same also applies in sexual harassment also. That is how this case also come in picture in this Sexual Harassment Act. Okay, sir, top. Little more. This earlier, prior to this enactment of this Sexual Harassment Act, all the women were supposed to file cases under section 354 or 509 of IPC, assault or criminal force on women with the intent to outrage or modesty, or intending to insult modesty of a woman. These were only two sections which are available to women prior to 2013, even whether it's working women or not working women. But this 354 and 359 now are presently only for private individuals. But any such thing happens, this kind of nature, what is defined in 354, 359, if it's the working woman who comes under organized sector, or if it's the non-working woman who comes under unorganized sector, this definition come under prevention. This comes under Sexual Harassment Act. Okay. Now, okay, sir, go top. I'll come to it later on. Okay. Now, what this, sir, come little down. No. Little down, not more than that. I want to see the guidelines. Yes. Now the question is, when can an aggrieved woman go to the internal complaint committee and say, sir, ये बंदा मेरे को ऐसे किया है? Within how many days? She cannot go after 1 year and say, sir, XYZ has done some sexual thing, or he showed some sexual photos to me after 1 year. No. The law says very clearly within 3 months. Now 3 months ka definition, so you can go to General Clauses Act.
Because some months have 31, some months have 28 and 29.
Yes. And if you go to Income Tax Act, which clearly says a month means 30 days. Income Tax Act says.
Okay.
And Bombay original side says as per the calendar. Bombay.
What about the maternity? Holidays could be excluded, holidays should be included.
No, maternity says 26 weeks.
Okay.
It's clearly, it says 26 weeks. Earlier it was 12 weeks. Now they enhanced it to from 12 to 26.
Right. Next.
Okay. Now what this section says that any lady aggrieved woman who has been harassed sexually, as per what they have mentioned in section 2N of sexual harassment, what other things comes under sexual harassment? From the last incident, from that day onwards, within 3 months or 90 days, you are supposed to file a complaint with the ICC, Internal Complaints Committee, and not with the Human Resource Department. Human Resource Department has no role in this. It is only the Internal Complaint Committee who will take up such cases within 90 days. In case if there is any delay, so only the ICC has powers to extend such
Yeah.
complaints to the extent of another 90 days. That too, there should be a reason for that. You just can't go and say, sir, मेरा 3 महीना खत्म हो गया, madam, I want to know. There should be a death in the family, or they should be, or you should be hospitalized, where you can prove that you were not in a state of mind to complain within the 30 days or 90 days as prescribed by the act. So that is why you are filing after 3 months. So that is this thing. Now, Constitution of Internal Council Committee. Okay, sir, go top. Yeah, it is there. One there only. ICC members and gender. Head of the ICC is the presiding officer. The senior level woman is one person. Members, it can be 2 women employee or combination of both genders. Okay, as I said, 50% should be a woman. Out of the 50%, the president or the presiding officer should be a lady officer only, no other person. Second thing, out of the other 2 women, you can have 2 women or you can have 1 male, 1 female, and one NGO of any gender, whether it's male or female, it doesn't matter. NGO can be of anyone, but subject, he or she should be working for the woman cause only. This is for the Internal Complaint Committee, is for the companies, organizations, and LCC, any person, any organizations or anything which has less than 10, they have to go and complain to the local committee. Now, who heads the local committee? ICC में तो company का presiding officer है, सब कुछ है, वो that's defined. Now, in this local committee, who heads this local committee? The district collector. He heads the local committee, or the panchayat president. In case of district, the district head. In case of taluka, the taluka head. In case of MRO, he will be head that LC. He is the head of that committee. Those people head these committees. Now, who all can be there? Chairperson to eminent person in the women of social work, one person. Block, taluka, tahsil ward, one person. NGO from women can be a male or a female. And other person can be an ex officio member. Means he will be only to oversee. He cannot say yes, no, anything in that. He should be from women welfare or women child and development organizations. He'll be from one person from that department. So total, there'll be 5 members in LC and 4 members in ICC. Now, let's presume when a woman files a complaint against a male or against a female to the ICC, Internal Complaints Committee, it is the duty of the ICC to take up the matter. Whether it is a false case or a real case, that's a different story. But when a woman complains, it is a duty of the ICC to immediately accept the application, complaint letter, and start looking into the nitty-gritties. Whether this falls under the workplace, this doesn't fall under the workplace, whether this incident happened within 3 months or after 3 months or before 3 months, what as per the law. And if the complaints come, if the ICC think there can be some type of conciliation between the two parties, between the complainant and the respondent, the ICC can only recommend the complainant and not the respondent for conciliation proceedings. It can only recommend. It cannot force the ICC. It cannot force the complainant to go for conciliation proceedings. The aggrieved woman, if she wants, she can go for conciliation proceedings. But there is a caveat in that. The complainant cannot ask the respondent any kind of monetary benefit for withdrawing the complaint. It's very clearly, she cannot ask any type of money. आप मेरे को ₹50,000, ₹10,000 दीजिए, मैं withdraw करता हूँ. No. You have any side of settlement. If that person says sorry, if the person says I am willing to give an apology letter to you, those are those terms and condition comes under the conciliation proceedings, but not giving and taking money or giving and taking of any kinds of gift, direct or indirect, that doesn't come under this conciliation proceedings. I hope I'm clear up till now.
Suppose he waive it, then
Who?
aggrieved party.
Aggrieved party, if she takes money, and if the respondent complains to the ICC that he has given money and she has accepted, then
Okay.
action will be taken against her and case will be decided accordingly.
Suppose he waives means I don't want anything.
If the complainant waives, then the case will go on. Then the case will go on.
Right.
Then the
Next.
case will go on. Now, how the inquiry committee is conducted? Normally, this ICC committee, they are empowered with civil court powers. Even though they are not judiciary, but they are empowered under the CRPC procedure, civil court powers. They can summon anyone under the oath, they can call witness, they can cross-examine, everything just like a normal court, they have to conduct the procedure. But these procedures cannot be like how we use sections, bisections, and all these things. No, these proceedings has to be done in principles of natural justice, fairness, non-arbitrary, without prejudice to any party, and equal opportunity should be given, and rule of law should be upheld in this. This is the main thing. And action during pending of inquiry. Let's say the complainant has filed a complaint against. So what does that mean? The employee who has filed a complaint, should she continue to work under the same HOD, or she should continue to work in the same office till the proceedings are done? No. The Act gives certain rights to the woman, aggrieved woman. The aggrieved woman can request for transfer from one department to other department, or from one location to other location, or she can even avail leave, 3 months leave. Now, when I'm saying 3 months leave, the ICC proceedings or the ICD inquiry, whatever it is, it has to be completed within a period of 90 days. There is no extension beyond 90 days. Within 90 days, all such activities has to be completed, and they have to give their findings. Let me tell you, I'm repeating the word findings, I'm not judgment. POSH Act clearly says it is a duty of the ICC to give its findings and not judgment. Judgment is where you find is guilty, not guilty. Finding is where you say, okay, he has done this kind of treatment, this has been proved. That's all. In that finding, they can give another things. Inquiry report. Okay, sir, come down. Now, inquiry report within a period of 90 days, once the inquiry and everything is done, they have to submit a report within a period of 10 days to the management for further action. What action to be taken? In that reporting findings, what they have found, the committee can recommend for a list of things are there. They can stop his increment, they can withhold his promotion, they can even terminate his services, like dismiss him from employment. So these are the powers the committee has, but they cannot tell him, send him to jail for 2 years, 3 months, or anything like that. They don't have any criminal things.
Who is the district officer? Is the district collector only?
Yeah.
Or he can depute another person?
He can depute under the district collector can depute assistant deputy collector or deputy collector to handle this matter.
Okay.
That they're given guidelines in that.
Okay.
They're given when they have used the appropriate government. In that appropriate government, the appropriate government has given certain designations.
Okay.
Who can handle these cases?
Right.
It is given as executive magistrate.
Yeah.
Executive magistrate is district collector only.
Yeah.
Now, what happens if there is a false complaint? If a complainant has made a false accusation on the respondent, what should be done? Now, in this case, whenever a woman who has made a false complaint and during the findings, it has found that this case is nothing but just to malign the image of the respondent, or this is nothing but to take a revenge on the respondent, then in such case, the ICC, that complaints committee, can recommend to the management stating that you please take action against the woman under the service rules of your organizations. Now, what are the service rules are they in your organizations? You have to, each organization have their own service rules. Like in this case, woman who's entitled for a 3 months leave with paid salary, free paid salary for 3 months, she can take leave. Apart from all other leaves, what she has, that's a different one. In under this act, she is entitled for 3 months paid leave fully. The employer can recover that entire amount from her, or he can even demote her. Same जैसा accused को होता है, same thing can happen to this.
Can she will be dismissed?
Yes, if the management thinks, if the ICC thinks this lady should be dismissed, it's a
It's the
serious
discretion of the employer.
it's a discretion of the employer what action to be taken.
There is no guidelines for the ICC or LC.
No. There is no guidelines.
And the Supreme Court guidelines are also not there.
No.
So it's entirely the discretion of the employer either to dismiss her or suspend her,
Yes,
demote her.
but on the recommendation of the complaints committee, what they
Okay.
recommend, what they
Okay.
recommend,
Okay.
and as per the service rules,
Okay.
what the service rule says, that is important.
And who is the regulating body for the service rules?
Every if you go to public sector units, you have a disciplinary committee.
Okay.
In public sector, in government organization, you have a disciplinary committee.
Mm-hmm.
Under the disciplinary committee, you have service rules.
Okay.
You have to follow the service. Let me tell you one more thing. Now, whenever a male employee is accused of a sexual harassment on a complaint by the lady, you cannot directly use this sexual harassment act. You have to run two parallelly proceedings. One is
Okay.
a departmental inquiry and one is your Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act, POSH Act. You have to do parallel proceedings. If you don't do two parallel proceedings and if you only do the POSH, the Sexual Harassment Act proceedings, then it will not hold good. It will not hold good. The case will be dismissed. Departmental inquiry is a must in these proceedings.
Suppose if the department inquiry acquitted him and ICC convicted him.
I said both have to be conducted. I have not said कौन acquit होता है कौन acquit नहीं होता.
No, the finally result is one committee, the disciplinary committee is acquitted.
Yeah.
The ICC or LC, they say no, he is convicted. At that instance, who will prevail?
Sexual Harassment Act will prevail.
Okay.
And there's a case which is very famous case which relates to Central University of Kerala.
Yeah.
Where a professor was charged with sexual harassment by students.
Okay.
When the matter went to the Supreme Court, the ICC said he is liable for terminating his services. They terminated his services, everything they have done. Even the High Court also said, okay, service is liable for termination, everything they have said. But the matter, when it went to Supreme Court, the Supreme Court gave clear directions. Where is your departmental inquiry proceedings? Yeah?
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
continue. There are internal disturbance. Krishna Yadav, you want to say anything?
No, he said the voice is breaking, I believe.
Okay. It may be the noise. The voice is very much clear. In the listening, there is no break.
Okay.
Continue.
So the Honorable Supreme Court in Kerala, Central Kerala University has said, where is your department proceedings? Have you done your departmental proceedings?
Yeah.
No. Since you have not done it, the primary is your departmental proceedings. You have not done that, but you directly went under the POSH, and you charged him. First, the matter has been dismissed. First, you go do your departmental inquiry.
Okay.
Since you have not done your departmental inquiry, this punishment is not liable. That was a learning lesson for most of the people. I don't know how many of you know this case. This is Kerala, Central University of Kerala.
That means exhaust the local remedies.
Yes, first use all your local remedies, then come to this act. Don't directly jump to this act.
Okay.
Okay. One more thing. I missed out on transgender.
Yeah.
This act also applies to transgender also. A
Right.
transgender can also sexually harass a female.
Yeah.
A male can also sexually harass a transgender. Now I'll tell you what is the difference between transgender and a trans woman. Transgender is a wider terminology, and trans woman is more specific, just like a woman only. Now, why I'm saying trans woman? Whenever any transgender person undergoes a SRS surgery, it is called SRS, sexual reassignment surgery. And when that person takes a doctor certificate stating that from transgender, now he's become a trans woman. And that certificate, if he registers with the government of India under the trans woman, then this act applies to trans women. But this act does not apply to transgender.
Okay.
I hope you all understood the meaning of
We got
transgender
the
and
point.
trans
We got the point.
woman. Okay. So transgender बोलते हैं ये मत सोचना trans woman भी है.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, what are the duties of the employer? The main duties of the employer is to provide safe working environment to the people. First and foremost, whom all we are coming into touch. Let's know this. In fact, this act has given wider scope to most of the people. Even a visitor who comes to my office, let's say a customer who's come to my office, let's a lady who's come to my office, and one of my employee harasses her stating that अरे इसका figure देखो ये मस्त है ये ऐसा है. She also has the right to file a complaint with the ICC against my employee. Understood?
Yeah.
Let it be a consultant, a businesswoman, anyone who comes to my workplace, and such lady, if she is harassed in form of sexual harassment, then that lady has a right to complain to my ICC against my employee. It says, okay?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Come down. अब ये ठीक है सर, वो you should organize workshops, ICC members का नाम सब जगह पे रखने का with the ICC committee members का names, contact numbers, email
It should be
IDs
displayed
at canteens, notice board, wherever
in a conspicuous place.
yes, wherever people normally gather. It is wherever. सिक्योरिटी गेट पे रखो, कैंटीन में रखो, नोटिस बोर्ड पे रखो, डिपार्टमेंटल हेड्स के पास दो, ऑफिस में रखो. सो दीज आर नॉर्मल प्रोसीजर्स. ऊपर आइए सर. डाउन 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 कम.
Yeah, they are down over. It is. Chat is over.
Okay.
Can I show the chat?
One more thing. Sexual harassment can also be whenever if any employee or whether lady or a male, if someone comments on color, अरे ये काली है, ये बदसूरत है, that also comes under sexual harassment.
Suppose if she comes in the scanty clothes. She comes in the scanty clothes.
Sir, I don't want to comment on that. I hope recently one Kerala Sessions Court judgment has given judgment on section 354, where he has given a bail on stating that the woman, she was wearing a provocative dresses. That's why
I made such a comment.
yes, and that's why from Sessions Court he was demoted to Labor Court. That judge recently.
So which act will be applicable over there?
Now, if when any woman who comes to the office in such dress, it is a duty of the HR department to tell her. It is not the duty of ICC or the management.
Even the employees are not allowed to.
Sir, as long as you're not displacing your figure or showing your figure, it doesn't matter to anyone. You wear tight clothes, you wear loose clothes, but don't show your figures to anyone. Don't wear provocative dresses and come to offices.
Then
Normally, most
the,
of
then the code dress should be there.
yes, most of the organizations they'll have dress code. Most of the organizations have dress code, and in the interview itself, we make it very clearly what kind of dresses to be, what kind of not to be. We make very clearly, and we have a dress code in that. Most of the organizations they have dress codes. What to wear, what not to wear.
Okay.
Okay. And one more
Shall I
thing.
show the chart?
Yeah, recently in one of the case in United Kingdom,
Yeah.
where a person with bald head,
Yeah. It's the harassment towards a man. If you
yeah,
say bald
comes
head, yeah.
it comes under sexual harassment.
Yes.
It's not harassment. It comes under the sexual harassment.
Okay. It is a harassment.
It's a no. It comes under sexual harassment, not harassment.
Okay.
Yeah.
A male sexual harassment.
Yes.
So now let me show you another work.
Okay. That religious place. I forgot the religious place. Whether whether this sexual harassment comes under the religious places or not.
Okay.
In Manish Pathak versus Union of India case, I mean 2 years back, the Honorable Supreme Court has very clearly laid down the judgment was delivered by ex-Chief Justice of India. He was then the Chief Justice of India, Mr. Justice Ranjan Gogoi, where he clearly said workplace definition doesn't come under the religious places. Religious places are different and workplaces are different. Now, he gave a very wide meaning of that. What religious places?
What about the court premises?
Yes, it comes under this thing. Workplace. It comes
What is
under
that case law where the IPS officer harassed the IS officer?
Rupal Dev Bajaj versus this thing, KPS Gill.
What happened in that case law?
He went to jail, na? He went to jail for 2 years.
The IPS officer.
Yes.
Okay.
Rupal Dev Bajaj. That's Rupal Dev Bajaj. In this, the High
Chart,
Court.
in the chart.
And I have not yet completed my religious places.
Okay. What about this chart?
I'll tell. This only doesn't take 2 minutes, not more than 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Now,
because still you do have time.
Okay, no, it's okay. I'll just come to
5 minutes time is there.
No, we'll skip this because whatever is written in this chart, I've already explained to them.
Because I found Kolikonda is not present.
He's not present.
So you can continue it.
Okay. So what the Honorable Supreme Court said in places of religious places, whether religious places come under the place of workplace, the Supreme Court said very clearly, no religious places will come under the workplace. The reason is that any devotee who goes to the temple, church, mosque, or any religious places, they go out of their own free will to seek the blessings of the deity and not to do any commercial transaction with the god. Understood?
But what about the Tirupati?
Sir, I've said I'm coming to that. Any devotee who goes to the temple, church, or even, they are not going for commercial transactions. They are going for the blessings. So such temples do not cover under the workplace of worship. But employees who are working for the temple, for them it is a workplace.
Okay.
Why I'm saying that is that
they are the employer and employee relationship is there.
But in this POSH Act, a visitor who's coming to my office and when my employee says, "Arey, ladki mast hai," she has a right for that consultant. This is also a workplace because she is coming from one office to this office. She is representing her office to my office.
She is the employee of that concerned office.
Yes. So definition of workplace applies to her in that organization and definition of workplace applies to her in this office also. Okay. But when it comes to the religious places, it doesn't apply.
What about the licensee and the invitee?
No, licensee and invitee, that is not a workplace. How can you define a license and invitee? It has to be within the definition of the workplace.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is what actually I take more than 3 hours, but sir ne 15-20 more time they have a shortcut.
Yeah, in a condensed way because they want to answer the question. What about the write an essay on the women's harassment in the workplace, at the time they do have some idea which section should be applied and what act should be applied and how the ICC would be there, what will the LC would be there, without exhausting the disciplinary action. Even the Supreme Court say that make the first disciplinary action against it. I want to see that report. Without making it, you cannot tap the other courts.
Yes, yes. Now, I don't know, what is the difference between an act and a code?
Yeah, an act is of course, like
No, no,
CRPC. Okay, now ask the participants.
Yes, 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 yes. I know you're a lecturer. You will answer definitely.
Participants.
You taught me, so I know very well. You know that.
Joe, J-O Joe.
Krishna Yadav, Pamu, Ramesh, Paras, Suresh, Poonam, Gausia. Okay, no one is responding. Chalo, TK.
14 were there, but now it became 8.
Oh, I think they're not interested.
Of course, it depends upon their work permit because especially ladies, they may be busy in the
Yes,
night preparation and all those things.
Yeah.
But anyway, that even my commitment is even one person also there. My class is there because I don't see the
strength.
number. If one person also get benefited from our online class, and we feel that our mission is fulfilled.
Yes, sir.
And I also put in the WhatsApp group of these people, the JCJ, to encourage them to write the article also.
Very soon you will see my publication of my book on this act.
Very good. Very.
It's almost
I feel happy also if you contribute something for the upcoming 18th September international webinar on any aspect, the innovatory and inventions and use of the computers and information technology and the new gadgets.
I saw that. I would like to comment on that. Something which is related to artificial intelligence.
Yeah, in the one way, in another way. Huh?
Yeah. But that doesn't. Artificial intelligence does not apply to legal senses.
No, because it may have a different aspect of it. No.
Yeah, what happened recently? 2 years back in China, before the COVID, I don't know whether the COVID or post-COVID, when they started using artificial intelligence in the judiciary.
No, because you cannot make all the places the artificial intelligent. Like
I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you what happened in China. What happened when they started using artificial intelligence in the judiciary? Most of the cases went haywire. They found most of the appeal. They started appealing because artificial. It's only read the act. वो act पढ़ के आपको judgment दे देता वो. It doesn't get into details of that.
We should know in which the act is done in which circumstances.
And what is the consequences? What are the facts, figures, everything. So they thought artificial intelligence.
See, artificial intelligence could be used at that place. Like you should not supposed to go more than 100 kilometers per hour. And there you can keep it a camera.
For manufacturing industry, these kind of things, artificial intelligence is most important. But even 1 month back, Mercedes, they stopped using artificial intelligence because they found it to be useless because it is not multi-talented. It is only one single talented, whereas a human being is much more multi-talented than an artificial intelligence.
Yeah, it is every rule having its exception. In the same manner, the IT or explosion, it is having a limited one.
Yes,
For instance, we cannot have the space to keep the books so many. Now the e-books are there where we can keep it. But the next point is, if virus comes over there, we should also see the production of it. Otherwise, everything will be lost in a minute.
Yes.
But the books are concerned, at least we can save it from the inferno, means arson or the fire.
Okay. Now,
sir, one doubt, sir.
Yes, please ask.
Sir, in court premises, where ICC committee will be established and who is in charge of it?
In the court, every bar council is supposed to have an ICC committee. I believe every bar council has an ICC committee. Every bar council of state, respective state. Every bar council.
In state level only or in local levels also?
I've used the word every bar council, which means
But
this
I
state
didn't
has,
Every district.
in local bar council, sir. That's why I'm
yes,
asking.
every bar council, whether it's in one district or if you have a, but most of the cases, if you go to any mandals or like this, you have courts, but you don't have bar councils there. You have bar councils in districts and state. So those such places, they have to come to the district bar council. They have to come to the district bar council for complaints.
But such practice is not there in.
No, it will be. They might have not displayed. It is there. It is
But
clearly there.
then that ICC committee must have some notice boards like that to complain.
Yeah, madam, I don't know about Hyderabad or Andhra Pradesh, but at least I know at Maharashtra where I work and I practice. In all the courts, we have this, and it is displayed very clearly. At least
In
I
AP,
know
I
that.
didn't notice such things, sir. That's why I got doubt.
I'm not aware of that, but as far as I know, every bar council has an ICC committee. If you ask them, they'll tell you. They may not have displays और डिस्प्ले करने के बाद ही नोटिस को पर नोटिस चिपकाते रहते तो वो पता नहीं वो किधर चला गया वो.
Like in the RTI, every office should have the information officer.
Yes. This is also same thing. Even in the court, you have people working. In the bar council, you have people working. Every advocate is an officer of the court, in simple terminology, if you ask me.
I saw the Kodikonda Sharad Babu now joined. In the
Oh,
last
that's
minute.
nice.
I'm late to the meeting, sir, because I went out.
Yeah. But anyway, that ample,
Bombay High.
And I
Venunath
knew
got
that,
ample chance, the ample
Yeah,
time
thank
to
you,
explain.
sir. Sir, आप आए नहीं, you have not come. It was a blessing in disguise for me.
yes, sir, I know it very well because in the morning itself, I told sir that sir, Venunath sir would take the class for.
I am here to fill the gap.
Sir, you can call me
Yes.
Venunath. You don't have to call me sir. No issues in that. I will not mind. At least
I
in
would
Bombay.
like to know one thing, sir.
Yes, sir.
States make some criminal laws, whether they are applicable for the state itself or it can be applied to other states also.
Local.
State laws only for state laws. Example.
No, sir.
If there is any, I'll tell you.
Just
If there is,
one clarification, because IPC and CRPC are there.
yes, I'm coming
But
there.
when we go on reading, so and so state had made this amendment.
Yes.
Read like this.
Yes.
Whether
In
they are
IPC
applicable to that particular state or
Yes.
it can be applied to the other states.
No. In CRPC and CPC, certain states makes amendment according to their local this thing. So those rules are applicable only to that state. That doesn't apply to Maharashtra. If Hyderabad or Andhra Pradesh has made certain amendments with regard to any certain section to that, so that is applicable only to that state. Bombay, no. But any judgment
Thank
coming
you.
out of that High Court of any court, the High Court of Bombay or a High Court of Andhra Pradesh or Telangana, they can review it, they can see whether it is really applicable to this section or not, to this case or not. They'll definitely
Okay,
take it.
thank you.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
please
So we
clarify.
can, while arguing, we can cite that case.
Yes, sir. I have argued many cases like that only. I have taken up some
Okay.
cases of Hyderabad, Telangana High Court. I've taken cases of Delhi.
Okay.
So you can do that.
Hosea, you can ask.
Sir, clarify between code and act, sir.
हाँ yes अच्छा भूल गया हम लोग उसके बारे में. Okay, I will tell in very simple way what is code and what is an act. I'll tell it in a normal way. Act is like a original song. जैसे आप लता मंगेशकर का सॉन्ग सुनते हैं, किशोर कुमार का
Substantial.
It's a original song. But मतलब वो एक piece है वो. That's a masterpiece. But what the code is combination. आजकल remix आता है ना, remix songs. That is code. Remix of 3-4 laws or 3-4 rules. They make it into a code. Example, the recent changes which have been made in the labor laws. There are total 48 labor laws. Out of that 48, they have made the merged and they made it into 4 codes. Hello.
Sometimes
Go ahead.
they say 29 laws.
No. There are total 48 laws. 29 laws are common laws.
Okay. And
29
we have
laws are common laws.
29 laws into four
Sharath,
codes.
let him clear the act and code.
Yeah. So what happened is that the central government has did that instead of having too many acts, they have clubbed certain acts into one code, like Payment of Wages Act. Earlier, Payment of Wages Act was a different act. Minimum Wages Act was a different. All these acts were different acts. Now, what they've done, they have made one code that is called Wage Code. So, in that Wage Code, whichever acts were there which are related to payment of wages or related to payment of salaries or anything, whatever, they have clubbed all this into Wage Code. Second one is that यार मैं खुद भूल गया मैं आपको total 4 out of that one is OSHA
Okay.
Act has been made.
Venunath.
Organization safety and health.
Yeah, you give the act and code in a different perspective.
Yes, I'll do that.
I teach to my student what is the code and what is the act. Act is a substantial,
Hmm.
and the code is the procedure to be followed.
Yes.
Like whoever comes to my class, they have to bow and enter into my class. That is the substantial.
Hmm.
But where to bow, how much to bow is the code it says. The code says you have to bow at the threshold, then enter into the class, whether the lecturer or the staff looking at you or not.
It's just like
Code
entering into the
says.
courtroom. It is just like entering into the courtroom.
Yes, because a classroom is a fountain of knowledge. It is like a spiritual place.
Yes.
You cannot come like a pub.
Yes.
So you bow yourself and enter into the courtroom. You bow yourself, you enter into the class. When you go also, you can bow it where you are standing, then you can go. You
Yes.
need not to come near to the lecturer, in front of him, you bow.
Yes, just what we do in the court while entering the courtroom, we bow before the lordship. While going out, the same thing we go. We don't show our back to the judge. It's a very disrespect showing back to the judge and walking out of the courtroom.
It is an respect. It is an etiquette.
Yes. It is just code. If you look, there is a difference between rules and regulation. We always refer to the rules and regulations of this thing. Now, what are rules and what are regulations?
Yeah, rules are framed to each and everybody, to my knowledge. And the regulations, it depends upon the state to state or the discretion is given. It is what I perceive.
I'll tell you.
Please go ahead.
Without rules, there is no regulations.
Good.
Because that's why they have mentioned the word rules and regulation. They have not mentioned regulations and rules.
That means regulation is a specie and rules are the genus.
Yes. Regulation is the act. Regulation is the act. And rules are the procedure to be followed. Without the procedure, you cannot follow the act. Example, if in the IPC Act or any act which is written,
You finish it in 1 minute because only 1 minute is left.
If it's written anywhere stating that drinking and driving is an offense and you'll be punishable to 1 year of imprisonment, that is the regulation. Now how to prove that regulation? This person is drank or usne daru piya nahi piya, you have to follow the rules. What are the rules? Uska muh mein wo breath lagana padega. You have to tell him blow. These are rules. Without rules, you cannot
Breathing
prove
test.
the act. Yes. Without the rule, you cannot prove the act.
Like we can say, act is the engine and the bogies and the rules are the tracks.
Yes. Without track, train can't chalega, nahi chalega.
A rule should be framed, even though the Consumer Protection Act is passed earlier, but the rules are not framed, hence it is implemented later after the framing of the rules.
2019 recent amendment, Consumer Protection Act, 2019.
Participants, Krishna Yadav, are you present?
Yes, sir, I'm there.
Okay.
AAAS Brass.
Okay, one more thing. Most of you all must have read in law, not in sections, notwithstanding anything,
Yeah.
save as otherwise. Now what? Yeah, ऐसा क्यों लिखते हैं notwithstanding anything और एक जगह पे लिखते हैं save as otherwise. ऐसा क्यों लिखते हैं? Why they write this? What is the use? If you don't know notwithstanding anything or save as otherwise, वो section पढ़ के कुछ फायदा नहीं है, because उसके अंदर बहुत सारा चीज, ये notwithstanding anything is has a wider meaning. अपन सिर्फ पढ़ते हैं नॉट विथस्टैंडिंग एनीथिंग, बाकी का पढ़ो. अरे नॉट विथस्टैंडिंग एनीथिंग क्या है पहला? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू नो दैट नॉट विथस्टैंडिंग एनीथिंग?
Yeah, at any time it will be stopped. Give the answer.
Then pass out.
ठीक है, नहीं आया तो कोई इशू नहीं है, कोई जरूरी नहीं है हर चीज आना बोल के हर आदमी को. नो, व्हेनेवर यू फाइंड एनी वर्ड सेंटेंस लाइक नॉट विथस्टैंडिंग एनीथिंग इन सेक्शन व्हिच द सेक्शन इटसेल्फ स्टार्ट्स नॉट विथस्टैंडिंग एनीथिंग और save as otherwise, the meaning of notwithstanding anything is that, for example, Professor Hussain, he is in one act it will say Professor Hussain will teach science. In another act it will say Professor Hussain will teach commerce. In other act it say Professor Hussain will only teach law, which means बाकी का दो एक्ट में जो लिखा है Professor Hussain will teach science or commerce, that will not apply. When the word says Professor Hussain will teach only law, notwithstanding anything, Professor Hussain will teach law means he is supposed to teach only law. Forget whatever written in other act. वो भूल जाओ उसको, उसमें क्या लिखा है, साइंस लिखा, कॉमर्स लिखा. But whenever the word comes with notwithstanding anything, Professor Hussain will teach only law, which means he is supposed to teach only law. He cannot teach any other thing. I hope I'm clear on that.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now the second question. Save as otherwise. Now, whenever this word comes, save as, ये भी ऐसे starting होता है, save as otherwise.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता. पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा. विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा. तव शुभ नामे जागे, तव शुभ आशीष मागे. गाहे तव जय गाथा. जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता. जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
We live in a world full